Denmark buys two Boeing P-8A Poseidon aircraft from the U.S. to track Russian submarines in the Arctic. The Danish Ministry of Defence confirmed the acquisition of two Boeing P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft on July 7, 2026, to rebuild its long-range maritime surveillance and anti-submarine warfare capabilities in the Arctic and North Atlantic. This procurement fulfills requirements under the 2024-2033 Danish Defence Agreement to strengthen sovereignty enforcement and information gathering across Greenland, the Faroe Islands, and Northern European maritime approaches. The strategic transition minimizes regional reliance on Allied aircraft while directly satisfying NATO force goals regarding the tracking of undersea assets through the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom chokepoint. Denmark will purchase two P-8A aircraft as part of a multi-mission maritime program that builds upon a prior December 2025 United States foreign military sale approval valued up to $1.8 billion for 3 airframes and associated mission systems. The specialized platforms feature advanced ANP-10 radar suites, acoustic processing capabilities, and internal weapon bays configured for Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes to establish continuous surveillance across extended Arctic patrol boxes. On July 7, 2026, Denmark confirmed the acquisition of two Boeing P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft to rebuild its anti-submarine warfare and long-range maritime surveillance in the Arctic and North Atlantic. The purchase falls under the 2024-2033 Danish Defence Agreement and its Arctic and North Atlantic Sub-Agreement, which calls for Denmark to strengthen its military presence and surveillance capacity across Greenland, the Faroe Islands, and the northern maritime approaches to Europe. The decision follows the recommendation of Chief of Defence General Michael Wiggers Heilgaard and Denmark's NATO force goals for anti-submarine warfare. Defense Minister Jeppe Bruus framed the procurement around sovereignty enforcement and regional surveillance, while Heilgaard emphasized the need to defend all parts of the Kingdom of Denmark and improve long-range information gathering over areas where ships, helicopters, and shore-based sensors cannot provide continuous coverage. The procurement process moved in less than 1 year from public evaluation to acquisition. In September 2025, Denmark confirmed that it was looking at the P-8A to patrol waters around Greenland and the Faroe Islands, with the expected investment already described as a double-digit billion Danish kroner program. On December 29, 2025, the United States approved a possible foreign military sale for up to 3 P-8A aircraft, with an estimated ceiling of $1.8 billion. That package covered not only aircraft but also multifunctional information distribution system joint tactical radio systems, Guardian laser transmitter assemblies for the ANAC-24VN, MX-20HD electro-optical and infrared systems, next-gen missile warning sensors, ANAC-2V acoustic systems, ANP-10 radar systems, YELQ-213 electronic warfare management systems, training, spare parts, engineering support, contractor assistance, and logistics. Denmark has now selected 2 aircraft as the first step, meaning the approved third airframe remains a potential expansion option if Copenhagen later determines that 2 aircraft do not generate enough availability for training, maintenance, and operational tasking. The main operational driver is Denmark's responsibility for a maritime area far larger than its force structure. Greenland extends Denmark's defense responsibilities deep into the Arctic, while the Faroe Islands sit close to the North Atlantic routes connecting the Norwegian Sea, the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom GIUK Gap, and the wider Atlantic. These waters matter to NATO because Russian submarines from the Kola Peninsula must pass through or near northern maritime chokepoints to reach the Atlantic, and because undersea cables, seabed infrastructure, shipping routes, and energy infrastructure require monitoring over long distances. Denmark's existing maritime assets can conduct presence missions, but surface vessels and helicopters cannot sustain wide-area surveillance across such distances without major gaps. A P-8A can cover large patrol boxes, move rapidly between Greenlandic and Faroese waters, use radar to classify surface traffic, drop sonobuoys against suspected submarine contacts, collect emissions, and feed data into Danish and NATO maritime command structures. The P-8A, a military derivative of the Boeing 737-800ERX, entered U.S. Navy operational service in 2013 and retains about 86 parts commonality with the Boeing 737 Next Generation family. The aircraft uses the stronger 737,900 wing, raked wingtips, auxiliary fuel capacity, and a missionized cabin with operator consoles. Its sensor fit centers on the ANOP-10 maritime radar, which supports wide-area surface search and classification, supplemented by electro-optical and infrared sensors for visual identification, electronic support measures for detecting emitters, and an acoustic suite designed to process large numbers of sonobuoys. Unlike many older maritime patrol aircraft, the P-8A does not rely on a tail-mounted magnetic anomaly detector in its standard U.S. configuration, instead emphasizing high-altitude radar, acoustic processing, electronic surveillance, and networked data fusion. The aircraft can carry Mk-54 lightweight torpedoes for submarine engagements and AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles for surface targets, giving it the ability to move from detection to prosecution without handing every contact to another asset. In a routine patrol, a Danish P-8A could map shipping activity near Greenland or the Faroe Islands, identify vessels operating without automatic identification system transmissions, monitor research ships or state vessels near sensitive areas, and transmit a maritime picture to headquarters. In a higher-end scenario, it could lay sonobuoy patterns across suspected submarine transit routes, coordinate with allied frigates or submarines, and support NATO barrier operations across the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom region. During peacetime, the same aircraft can support search and rescue, environmental monitoring, and fisheries-related surveillance thanks to a range exceeding 4,500 nautical miles, which is relevant for Arctic operations where diversion airfields are limited, weather can deteriorate quickly, and response times are long. This mix of tasks explains why Denmark is acquiring a multi-mission aircraft instead of a more specialized aircraft with limited functions or a smaller maritime patrol conversion. The smallest practical issue in the program is the aircraft purchase. The larger issue is how Denmark will generate enough trained people and maintenance depth to keep 2 aircraft useful. A 2-aircraft fleet has limited resilience. 1 aircraft in scheduled maintenance or undergoing repair can leave only 1 available for training or operations. Maritime patrol aviation also requires pilots, tactical coordinators, acoustic operators, electronic warfare specialists, mission planners, weapons personnel, data link technicians, and maintainers trained on a complex commercial-derived aircraft. Denmark will need sonobuoy stocks, Mk-54 torpedo integration arrangements, Harpoon support if that weapon is acquired or assigned, secure mission planning facilities, classified data handling, ground equipment, spare engines or access to engine support, and procedures for sharing information with NATO maritime headquarters. Without that support system, the aircraft would provide intermittent capability rather than persistent operational output. This explains the early Danish emphasis on cooperation with existing P-8A operators. Denmark is examining models that could include a common unit at the same air station, shared maintenance, joint training, coordinated logistics, common implementation work, shared procurement support, and long-term sustainment cooperation. Norway, the United Kingdom, and Germany are the most relevant European partners because they form a northern NATO P-8A cluster. Norway operates 5 P-8A aircraft from Evans. The United Kingdom operates 9 Poseidon MRA Mk-1 aircraft from RAF Lossiemouth, and Germany selected the P-8A to replace older maritime patrol aircraft. Canada has also chosen the Poseidon, adding another NATO operator. For Denmark, joining this user community reduces the burden of creating national-only procedures and increases the chance that Danish crews can train, plan, and operate with allies using common mission systems, tactics, software baselines, and logistics chains. Anti-submarine warfare is one of the areas where NATO needs specialized assets because detecting modern submarines requires aircraft, ships, submarines, seabed sensors, acoustic processing, secure communications, and trained operators working together. Denmark's contribution will not be large in numerical terms, but it fills a geographic gap linked directly to Danish territory and responsibilities. The aircraft will add patrol hours over the North Atlantic, improve Danish participation in the shared maritime picture, and reduce reliance on Allied aircraft for missions around Greenland and the Faroe Islands. The acquisition also reinforces NATO's northern surveillance architecture by linking Denmark more closely with Norwegian patrols from Evens, British operations from Lossiemouth, and future German P-8A activity. The practical effect is more Allied capacity to monitor submarine movements, surface vessel activity, and unusual patterns around the Arctic approaches and the Greenland-Iceland-United Kingdom gap. Strategically, the purchase marks a shift from dependence on Allied maritime patrol support toward a restored Danish national capability, but one deliberately built around multinational sustainment. Buying 2 aircraft controls the initial scale of the program, while the earlier U.S. approval for up to 3 aircraft gives Denmark a defined path if operational experience shows that the fleet is too small for sustained readiness. Choosing the P-8A avoids the integration risk of a unique Danish aircraft and places Copenhagen inside the main NATO maritime patrol aircraft community. The main constraint will be whether Denmark can turn 2 Poseidons into a reliable deployable force through training, spare parts, crew generation, and Allied sustainment. If that structure is built effectively, the aircraft will give Denmark a measurable increase in Arctic and North Atlantic surveillance reach, a national tool for sovereignty enforcement, and a more concrete contribution to NATO anti-submarine warfare in the Northern Maritime Theater.